Hey, before you check out this video, maybe go check out the new Discord. It is in the description. Thank you, and let's get right into things.
Tweet time. Starting off with Jesse Waters. Says, is Taylor Swift a Pentagon PSYOP asset?
What the hell does that even mean? What do those words mean?
So this was a video that he played, and he's such a fucking idiot. The way he made the connection. So you know what a PSYOP is, right?
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, okay. So there was a presentation given at a NATO meeting of like online security stuff or whatever. I don't remember exactly what it was. It was a NATO meeting, and someone that Jesse Waters said was from the Pentagon, but it didn't actually say who she was or what her job was there. He just said she was from the PSYOP department. And
okay.
I feel like that's not really a thing. Maybe it is. I don't know. But
I feel like they would have a department of counterintelligence.
Yeah, something like
and
that.
And then within that department, PSYOPs would be a thing that they would cover. And you might have specialists in the department that are specifically acquainted with dealing with PSYOPs and how they are very infiltrative. Wow, what am
Infiltrative.
Infiltrative. There we go.
Infiltrative.
Why is my brain just stopped? It was like, hey, this is a word you know, but I'm not going to let you say it. So instead, we're just going to make it really, really hard to not stumble over.
I used to have that problem with superfluous.
I used to have that problem as well with that exact word. My AOIT teacher said it once, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting word. I like it. And the word is way too large, which is perfect for what that word is.
Yep.
And I couldn't pronounce it for a straight year.
Yeah.
I think I said like Sapophlorus.
Yeah. Yeah, anyway, so in the video, he shows that like this, and he says that like at this meeting they floated the idea of using Taylor Swift in a PSYOP. And I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that they took the shit in that video completely out of context, because like it just seemed like a presentation on like how certain influencers can shape the views of the general population. Like it was and they use Taylor Swift as an example of someone that has that ability.
Well, because like, her fan base is considered almost a cult.
Yeah, but like never did they say, hey, we should use this. It was just, as an example, Taylor Swift. And that was it. End of sentence. It's just like, okay, that's not them saying that they are going to use her as a PSYOP. That's just them saying that this is an example of someone who has lots of influence. Like, okay, are you going to disagree that she has lots of influence? Because she does. Like her or hate her, she has influence.
We're not allowed to say anything about Taylor Swift, or the Taylor Swift cultists will come and swiftly deal with us.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Jesus Christ. So there was I think it was Meat Canyon, I want to say, who did a video about the Taylor Swift cult thing as it is parody, but it's funny that the Jesse Waters conversation we're having right now is like a month after that video was posted.
Yeah, well, Jesse Waters is like, if Tucker Carlson was half as smart as Tucker Carlson is now, which that seems like impossibly stupid.
I feel like...
because Tucker Carlson is a fucking idiot, but Jesse Waters is somehow even more of an idiot.
You know, there is one thing that I'd like to note, though. The default face of Jesse Waters and the default face of Tucker Carlson are completely reversed from one another. Mm-hmm. Have you ever noticed that?
Yeah. Jesse Waters seems like he's smug and he understands something that nobody else does, whereas Tucker Carlson seems like an idiot.
Angry and confused.
He's just like, he doesn't know what the fuck's going on.
Tucker Carlson...
he's like an old man that just walked into the 5-story parking garage and doesn't know what level his car's on.
The angry Tucker Carlson face.
Yeah.
Jeez, what else do we have here?
Oh, these are comments on this was on my video 10 things that don't make sense about Christianity. This person never made it past the intro. Yeah, that was funny. First error of fact, there are not thousands of Christian denominations that disagree on fundamental doctrines. In fact, there are none. Do better research.
But
all Christians agree on the fundamental aspects of their religion.
Right, like first saved, always saved.
Yeah, or
and faith versus works.
Or whether or not you need to get absolution through a priest.
Yeah, they agree on all those things.
Whether
the Trinity,
whether
they agree on the Trinity,
or like whether the listening to rock music will send you to hell.
Whether Pokemon is actually a demonic substance that leaks out of your game cartridges.
I was just telling my partner earlier today, when I was in the Christian high school that I went to, we had a lot of international students, and I was fascinated with the Asian the written languages from Asia, and I think it was just part of like my ADHD brain that like I couldn't.
It fixated on it.
It fixated on it, but it was partly because I couldn't parse it. Like I couldn't like it like logically. Things like Chinese pictographs or whatever, like they make sense in that like a lot of the words are almost visual representations of the things that they actually are. But like I could never remember what's what or figure out how they interacted with each other. And like, I don't know, I was fascinated by it. And so like I would, in the math room, there was a banner at the top that had like the numbers 1 to 10 in Chinese. And I was copying them out one day, and the teacher looked down, saw me drawing Chinese numbers, and immediately was like, "Are you drawing symbols from the Blair Witch Project?"
What?
Like, I'm like, "No. You know the Blair Witch is evil, right?" I'm like,
"That's not what you're writing."
This is 5 in Chinese. It's right there. See.
That reminds me of so when I was Pensacola Christian Academy had a summer camp called Camp of the Pines. And I would go there every year, and I loved it because I was a kid, and it was a week away from home in a summer camp with a bunch of people who may or may not have been my friends. Hell, if I remember. And it had a pool and all kinds of activities, and I loved it. I'm going to be honest, I would probably go back and do it again if I had a chance, even though all the indoctrination is there. And I remember that they had this little conveniences shop in the recreation room. And so I was a Bionicle fan as a kid. I loved the comics. I collected the toys. And they had the Bionicle pens in the convenience shop in the recreation area of Camp of the Pines. Remember, this is a place owned and operated by Pensacola Christian Academy. So, when that summer was over, I had my Bionicle pen, and the masks could actually get attached. The cool thing about the pen was the masks could be pulled off of the pen and then put on the smaller Bionicle figures. It was meant to be able to attach to anything. So I had my Bionicle figure because we had a toy day every other Friday, and I brought my Bionicles because I would use my Bionicle pen in class, and a teacher decided to there was a particular way you would get in trouble for bringing in something with satanic influence in PCA that would involve the thing getting confiscated and potentially detention. And that happened to me because of the Bionicles that I brought
from their own store.
I bought from them.
Well, that's how they get more of your money. They confiscate the thing, and then you have to buy it again.
So,
Neuromptoputs brought up Calvinism. So Calvinism, they believe that God predetermined who will go to heaven and hell. That's a pretty big difference from the other denominations. Now, I haven't...
The deterministic Christian faiths are something wild.
This person posted a second error of fact that kind of made me think that this is one of those people is like, there are not thousands of Christian denominations that disagree on fundamental doctrines. There are, in fact, none, because only true Christians will agree on the fundamental doctrines.
True Christians don't put sugar in their
porridge. So this is the person that says anyone who disagrees with me is not a true Christian, which all those other denominations would also say, which plays exactly into the point that I was making. And the second error, they say, is the Christian God does not require specific behaviors for salvation, only one. Accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. Again, do more research. Okay, first off, only one is a specific behavior. You just said he doesn't require specific behaviors. But the point that I was making in the video is that different Christian denominations disagree on what these specific behaviors are. So, like, Catholicism, for instance, they will tell you that, like, if you are baptized, you're probably saved, but you also have to do the works. And, like, they are not just a faiths-only thing. But, again, this is one of those things where, in proving this one wrong, I also prove his first one wrong. Like, because there are churches that require specific behaviors for salvation, then this is him disagreeing with those churches, which he says Christians don't do. So, yeah, he loses.
Real Christians don't disagree with each other on the fundamentals, except for all the fundamentals they disagree with each other on.
Yeah.
That's tiring, is what that is.
These comments were fun for me. And then what was even more, like, I didn't remember mentioning the thousands of denominations in that video, so, like, I watched most of that video again, but I skipped the intro because I'm like, oh, I don't say anything important in the intro, whatever. And so I got through the whole thing, and then it was like, fuck, I just wasted, like, half an hour watching myself on 2x speed. Why did I do that? I didn't even mention the thing. Where did he get that from? Then I went back and watched the intro. It was the first thing I fucking said. I'm like, God damn it.
So the guy probably didn't even watch the video so much as he just heard something he disagreed with, paused the video, typed it out in the comments section, and then left to go fap.
Yeah, basically.
Great.
Oh, Brian Holsworth, speaking of Catholics, he says, we all know the Inquisition used witch trials to satiate its bloodlust. News Protestants diligently spread to the rest of the world. But according to this, between 1300 and 1850, Protestant countries executed more quote-unquote witches than were ever even tried in Catholic countries. So...
I don't care who murdered more!
Yeah, so, like, that was my first impression with this, was that, like...
Why do I care who murders more?
It was like, oh, you think I'm bad for executing witches? Well, they executed more witches. Like, okay, you're both bad. That's, you're so close. But, Suris.
Yeah?
You want to know when the Protestant Reformation took place? So it was not 1300.
No? Go ahead and tell me.
It was like 1517. And so, like... So the reason he's off to the side where the others weren't is I actually have some hidden text here that I'm going to make readable now. So I've looked at the list. Germany was Catholic until the 1550s. So that's, and they were only half Catholic, like they were still half Catholic afterwards. There was a north-south divide where like northern Germany was Protestant, southern Germany was Catholic. So like until the 1550s, they were Catholic. So that's almost half of that 1300 to 1850 time period that he's got there. And then after the 1550s, they were still half Catholic. So, and this isn't dividing it between North and South Germany. This is just Germany.
So this is also just historical misinfo.
Yeah. So that's like how many of those 9,587 or no, sorry, how many of those 16,474 people that were tried, how many of them were tried by Catholics in South Germany and how many were tried by Protestants in North Germany? We don't know from this graph. And I didn't go into, this is fucking twit tweets. I didn't go to that. Like, this is deeper research than I normally do. Switzerland was Catholic until the 1550s, and then it remained almost half Catholic after the Protestant Reformation. So similar situation there. France, Catholicism was their official state religion until 1905. So like, so
I think Catholics were doing all these things anyway.
So he just looked at this list and he was like, in modern day today, the top countries are Catholic and the bottom one, or no, sorry, the top countries are Protestant, the bottom ones are Catholic. But if you actually look historically, France was Catholic until 1905. That's only a little over a century ago. And that's well after this graph ends. Scotland, they were officially Catholic until 1560. And then they had that whole Jacobite rebellion thing. I think they actually outlawed Catholicism, so they actually went a bit more hardcore than the other countries did. So maybe a point there. Half a point, because it's still 1560 is almost halfway through the 1300 to 1850 time period. Spain has a super complicated religious history. They were Muslim for a while. Then there was, like, during the Crusades, the Pope actually, like, sent messages to a bunch of knights telling them that, like, no, don't go help out in the Middle East, go to Spain because we need to spread the good news there, or whatever, spread the good news with the sword. But, like, Spain, like, we're talking about the Inquisition, most famous Inquisition. Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, except here we do.
Catholic.
Yeah, so Spain is Catholic, and they're pretty high up on the list.
So no matter what way you analyze the words that he said, they're all wrong.
Yeah. And, like, I kept on going a little bit. I stopped at England, because England was pretty complete. Like, most people, when they think England, when did they stop being Catholic? It's like, oh, Henry VIII wanted to annul his marriage, and the Catholic Church wouldn't do it, so he split and formed the Church of England. Except his successors recreated the ties with Rome. And they actually, when they reestablished their ties with Rome, Queen Mary burned hundreds of Protestants at the stake for heresy. That's another part of this that isn't really covered here. It's not just how many witch trials were there and how many quote-unquote witches were executed. There's also how many other people were killed for, like, heresy. So, like, Queen Mary...
How many bodies are we piling up on the pyre?
Yeah, so, like, England, we've got a total of 1,190... So 1,200 people tried for witchcraft. 367 of them were burned or were executed for witchcraft. At least 300 Protestants were executed for being Protestant under Queen Mary. So, like, that's almost the same as the number of witches in a, 550-year period.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Queen Mary did not rule for a very long time. It was less than a decade. So in less than 10 years, I think the 300 Protestants, that was all in 1 year. So in 1 year, the Catholic Church killed 300 Protestants by burning them at the stake for being Protestant. And he's trying to tell us that the Catholic Church is better because they burned less witches. Fewer witches.
It sounds better when you just say burned less, though. I'm not even going to lie.
No, it sounds better when you say burned fewer.
Nah. Sounds more punchy the other way. But it's confusing to me because it's not only a conversation he's trying to have about, don't worry, we were like 2% less shitty, and that's somehow important. It's baffling that it's happening at all, because this is the type of mental gymnastics that you only fall into when you are currently in a position where you feel like you desperately need to defend it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I desperately need to defend a whole bunch of people dying for the sake of my religion, just like I don't need to defend when the United States goes and does something shitty in another country.
Oh.
I don't have to defend that.
Yeah, also I'm going to look this up now because I seem to recall
You seem to recall.
Yeah, no, I'm looking into things.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Then in that case, let's go ahead and hold a bingo game for everybody who's in the chat. So anytime you're arguing with a Catholic apologist, I just want you to play a little fun game of bingo, right? The fun game is going to be figure out which commonalities there are in every single one of these arguments you have with an apologist. And then when you go to the next apologist, just start writing it down every single time. And don't even tell them that you're playing bingo with their defensive arguments. Just as they say things, name the ones that you've got and don't explain it until they ask. Just keep on doing it. It is one of the most frustrating things you can do to somebody who can only use the same argument over and over again with barely any polishing.
Okay, so I'm not I'm having trouble finding this, but when the Protestant Reformation happened in Germany, that kicked off a series of events that eventually led to the 30 Years' War, which I was trying to find the graph that I've used in other videos in the past, but I seem to recall the 30 Years' War, by percentage of the population of the planet that died in the war, it was the most deadly war ever up until, I think it even beat World War One. It lasted like up until World War Two.
How do you...
And like just... And that was sparked by the Catholic Church fighting violently to maintain its control of Germany, mostly. There's a lot more to it than that. It was a very complicated socio-political, economic thingamajig going on, but like there were religious undertones that were like the Catholics very much wanted to use it to maintain their grasp of control. So yeah, when you include things like that, that's a bit worse. Also, with regards to the burning of witches, like it's so specific. Like this is all about just the burning of the witches, and I'm like, I wouldn't have even thought of Europe when thinking of witch trials. I think of North America. I think of Protestants in North America.
You think of the town of Salem?
Yeah.
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 Oh, weird that.
And even then, like, North America was actually, like, apparently, according to the numbers, North America was nowhere near as deadly as Europe was as far as the witch trials go, but they're the ones that are famous for it, and it was Protestants doing it then. So it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, no, I didn't really associate witch trials with the Catholic Church, but there's a whole lot of other heinous shit that I associate with them.
It's weird that when your defense that you bring up somehow implicates you more in a way that nobody was actually trying to do in the first place. Like,
yeah.
We killed many Protestants, but at least we didn't kill as many witches.
Okay.
This matters.
So I'm pretty sure we've covered this exact tweet before, but if Frank felt the need to tweet it out again, then we can cover it again. He says, some people will say, well, why doesn't God stop all evil right now? If God were to stop all evil at midnight tonight, would you still be alive at 12:01? I wouldn't be. You wouldn't be either. Why? We all do evil every day.
Depends on the severity of the evil, Frank.
Why does he think that the omnipotent, omniscient creator of the universe can't possibly stop evil without killing people?
Because his mythos includes the flood and the tribulation. Like
why is violence the only answer?
Because violence is the only answer that's ever presented in the Bible.
Like, according to these people, God created the laws of the universe, the laws of physics. God could have designed a universe in which it is impossible for people to be mean to each other in any way, shape, or form. He could have done that. That is within his ability. You might make the free will argument that that's not, like that wouldn't comport with free will, but that is a thing that he could do. And I feel like there are all sorts of iterations in between that and the universe that we have today that would also at least get rid of most of the evil that we see existing without murdering everybody.
You would think that, but unfortunately, this is a religion that argues that there was so much evil in the world once because people wanted to fuck angels that we needed to flood it. And then that didn't work out because we have to do it again at some point in the future, maybe.
Yeah, God's plan in Noah's flood failed. Objectively, it failed. His objective was to wipe evil off the face of the earth. And then evil came back. Oh my God.
It's kind of a funny thought.
Hats again.
Many.
We're going back to the ears.
So funny thought. It's impossible for an omnipotent being to have a plan B. Because they've considered all their plans all at once, and they know
exactly which one.
They know which one's going to work. There can be no plan B because everything necessarily has to be plan A. It always has to be plan A. It can't be anything else.
Yeah, unless they intended to, like, if God's intention with making the universe was not anything to do with loving the beings that he created. Oh, Small Fry 15 rated. Hi, Small Fry. Hi, Small Fry's viewers. How was your stream? I'm gradually learning the Twitch etiquette, as like every time I've rated someone else, they've all been like, "Oh, hey, I hope you enjoyed your stream." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, maybe I should say that when people raid me."
maybe common courtesy.
Maybe. Anyway, Small Fry.
One person in your chat's name is Paimon is not emergency food, and I disagree with them. Paimon is emergency food.
Paimon? I'm not seeing that one. Now I'm just going to be scanning my chat.
Over in
oh,
Twitch
yeah,
chat.
there it is.
Paimon is in fact emergency food.
I don't know what Paimon is.
So, in Genshin Impact, the Navi type character in the game's name is Paimon, and there is a multiple choice answer to who your companion is when you're talking to NPCs. And oftentimes when you're asked to describe Paimon to people, one of the options is, "This is my emergency food." And it causes her to flip her shit on you.
All right, Small Fry 15 says, "I grind FGO just like you." I don't know what that means. Do you know what FGO is?
I don't know either, actually.
Is that a game?
Maybe. I have no idea what FGO is.
Fate Grand Order?
Oh, Fate Grand Order. Oh. I don't
know.
I don't think either of us play.
It's not outside the realm of possibility that I have accidentally tagged this stream as me playing Fate Grand Order.
Rhino, did you accidentally tag the stream as you playing Fate Grand Order?
I don't think I did, but it is not outside the realm of possibility. My channel.
I can't be that upset, but it's very funny.
Yeah. No, stop. No, it says just chatting.
Oh, okay. Well.
Okay. Well, thanks for the raid. I'm sorry that somebody lied to you about what I do. Okay. Back to tweets. Joseph L. Trahan says, "I will introduce..." Oh, this is a representative.
Okay.
"I will introduce legislation for it to be a felony criminal act to use mRNA in the food and water supply with mandatory jail time, no exceptions. It's proving to be a bioweapon at best and proven tool of genocide and suffering at worst."
What?
Joseph wants food to be illegal.
Food has RNA.
Yeah, all food.
It's impossible for food to exist without it having RNA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rhino, who are these people?
These people are idiots.
Why do they run our country? My country. Damn it.
Yeah, this is
You're
a representative.
not American.
This is a representative in your government.
Yeah? God, that makes me want to die.
Yeah, let's... He's a candidate. He's not currently a representative.
That's
but
fine.
He's running for Texas state senator.
Oh, it's in Texas. He's gonna win.
Yeah, there's a good chance that he will be a representative, especially on a platform like this.
This is literally somebody just going, "What's the thing that my constituents are upset about and scared of? Let me go ahead and tell them that I will save them from the thing you're scared of. You may not understand it, and I sure as fuck don't understand it, but I will save you."
Yeah. Yep.
What the fuck?
Ugh.
Why are people...
I mean, like, there's a part of me that wants to be like, "Oh, no, he's not going to win because he's clearly an idiot." But, yeah, no, the Jewish space lasers lady won. So
her situation's interesting though. She didn't win the first time. The first time she won by default because her opponent left the state because there was a campaign against him that he ended up fucking off for. And then the second time she was the incumbent and you're in Georgia and you're the red incumbent.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That situation's a bit unique, but it still is a failure of United States democracy.
Yeah, Paimon, not an emergency food, says, anyway, I don't get this at all. What are you all doing? We don't know. We don't know what we're doing.
No,
yeah, no, this
not
is a
at
show
all.
called Twit Tweets. We go over some news and then respond to some tweets from some twits, like this guy. It's not everybody's cup of tea. I've been getting way more negative comments on my videos on this channel than I do on my main channel.
We don't like it when you're being condescending about people on Twitter.
So, remember when we talked about James Somerton a few weeks ago?
Yep.
Yeah, so that video, the bit where we talked about James Somerton got put into the random clips of us being off topic. And then, of course, like, I'm a professional YouTuber. I try not to utilize clickbait too much, but like, if there's something in the video that I know is going to generate more clicks, that's what I'm going to title the video after. And the James Somerton thing was hot, so I titled the video about James Somerton, even though we only discussed him for a couple minutes. But like, the whole thing is just random discourse that didn't fit anywhere else. But like, I was getting comments on that being like, they don't even talk about James Somerton for 6 minutes, and then when they do, it's barely at all. You're like, yeah, but that's why in brackets at the end of the title I said, and other random off-topic rambling or whatever.
These people have never consumed a podcast.
Yeah, I don't know. The podcasts I consumed are better edited than whatever I do.
Most of the podcasts I've consumed in my life haven't actually been edited at all.
Yeah, there are some that are like that, but most people can't pull that off. Like, when I was doing the podcast with Lily, I would edit out anytime we said like I do all the time. And that
would drive me insane.
Yeah, it took a lot of time, but like when you leave the ums in, it doesn't sound as good. And I say a lot.
True.
I try to avoid it, but I usually forget that I'm trying to avoid it.
I've been told that I don't say that much, but I don't notice whether I am or not. So
okay, chat, be nice to the new people. Don't scare them off with the drywall stuff and pretending to eat them. I think Axolotl is doing.
So that makes sense. Okay, cool. So chat that came over from my channel, not everybody's as cursed as y'all.
Yeah.
That tells me it's my people.
Poor Paimon. No, well, Axolotl's usually in both our chats.
Yeah. True.
Okay. Oh, no, that's...
Hey, look! It's that person again.
Yeah, no, that was just before I split it up. I forgot to delete it. Christ is Lord says, atheism is neither an intelligent nor a rational position to hold. From Psalm 14, the fool says in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt, they do vile deeds, there is no one who does good. I
don't have to care.
So, like, this post contained the entirety of Psalm 14, but, like, the first 3 lines there, to me, just kind of, like, existence proves it wrong. Like, there are none who do good. Like, there are atheists who do good. Like, I have mentioned that when I did the tally of how much money I've raised for charity for my local food bank through my atheist YouTube channel over the last, I think it was 5 years, it was over $70,000. I'd say that's pretty good.
I'd say that's pretty good too. That's a reasonable amount of good.
Yeah. Like, it's not amazing, but like, it's more than most people do.
It's more than nothing.
Yeah. And like, I don't say that to like toot my own horn, because like, it's not me giving the $70,000. It's all you guys. But like, but if anything, that just makes my point even more, is that like my community of atheists who are following me, well, mostly atheists, are a handful of, they're a smattering of other religions. There's some Christians who follow me and actually like agree with a lot of what I say, but then they're like, I've got a lot of pagans in my audience as well. Yeah, no, the fact that there's so many of us that have collectively done this good,
It's
It
good
just-
with
it just-
compounding.
It just proves this wrong. Absolutely, 100% it is wrong. So, yeah, to say that atheism is neither intelligent nor rational, and then quoting a Bible verse that explains something that is demonstrably false, like, I feel like this is a pot calling the kettle black situation.
Yeah, it's confusing too, because the way that I've heard Christians have to square this particular round shape is they'll go, okay, so atheists can do good things, but without Jesus they cannot be truly good. But
Well,
that's not what Psalm says.
that's not what it says. It says that there's none who does good. The way I've heard this squared makes this verse entirely, to bring it back to our earlier discussion, superfluous. They will use
that word again.
They will use Romans 1:20 to be like, well, there's really no such thing as an atheist, because Romans 1:20 says that everybody believes in God, they just deny his truth in their unrighteousness. So when they do good things, that's because they believe in God, and when they do bad things, that's because they're an atheist. But then there's no point in this verse existing, because, like, the fool says in his heart there is no God, they are corrupt, they do vile deeds, there's no one who does good. Well, according to Romans 1:20, there is no one of that disposition who exists. So why does this verse exist? Why do you need to tell us that if these people don't exist?
There are people who do good and are atheists. There are people who do bad and are Christian. And I don't care what your God says about them, because your God is not my God. I don't have to care what he says about me or anyone else. I've never had to care about what he says about me or anyone else. I'm sorry.
Oh, the NB Vixen is here. Love your screen name. Hi, NB Vixen. They say hi.
They say hi back.
Yeah. Red Pill Apologist. You know, anything with the words red
It
pill
says
in it is
red
gonna be
pill.
great.
I already want to
Yeah.
die.
Having studied the philosophy of atheism for a quarter of a century now, I believe many atheists actually suffer from autism and extreme childhood trauma.
There's a lot of atheists who are autistic. What does that have to do with anything?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is one of those, like, this is him trying to be sophisticated about saying atheists have a mental disorder.
Yeah, that's.
And
So here's the frustrating thing about this, though. If somebody is autistic, does that mean they're incorrect when they say something because they're autistic? No, you'd have to be an idiot to have that opinion.
Mhm.
So I don't. God, it's weird that I have to default to the I don't know why I care. But legitimately, if a lot of atheists are autistic or have trauma, I don't know why I have to care about that.
But also, like, that kind of speaks to God's design, though, does it not? Like, if God designs you with autism, and then your autism causes you not to believe in God,
Then God designed you
then
not to believe in God.
God designed you not to believe in God. Yeah, exactly. Like, that seemed like this is a fault with God more than it's a fault with people with autism. And everybody in the chat is saying, like, yeah, I have autism. I don't suffer from autism. Because, like, yeah, autism is something that, in most cases, it's perfectly able to, like, you're perfectly able to live with it. And it's not necessarily correlative with atheism. Though I could see, 'cause, like, my partner keeps diagnosing me, so she thinks I have autism, that I may be on the spectrum. And part of the reason for that is because I am very literal minded.
Mm-hmm.
And and this might, like, I could see this contributing to atheism, because, like, that was kind of my journey, was that, like, well, if an all-powerful God exists and he wrote this book is going to say what he wants it to say. End of story. And it says stuff that doesn't make sense. Therefore, that God doesn't exist. I could see how having autism could encourage that sort of line of thinking. But, like, autism or not, I don't think that matters. Like, I think that's still a valid line of, I still think that's a valid line of reason.
Inquiry.
But, like, I could see how someone with autism might be more prone to going down that path than someone without autism. Yeah, and people are saying ADHD. Yeah, I definitely have ADHD, but there is a lot of overlap. And there actually has been some research recently that suggests that ADHD might be itself a form of autism.
Yeah, there is.
So,
there is a lot of research also
they are
that shows
definitely
that they're very
related.
different.
Well, yeah, different presentation. It's if I recall correctly, this thing that said that people with ADHD are like ADHD is a subset of autism is like it's a different presentation of the same thing.
Okay.
It's kind of like how how like there's the typical male and typical female presentation of ADHD, where like the typical female presentation is it's more internalized rather than external, running around like crazy. It's just internally, the brain doesn't shut up and keeps going all over the place, and you can't pay attention, but you can sit still. So like I actually was not diagnosed with ADHD as a child because I have the typically female presenting version primarily.
Everybody, Rhino is a typical female. He's a basic bitch.
Well, that's why we use the word typically. I'm not going to deny that I'm a basic bitch, but that is why we use the word typically, because it's not exclusively female, it's not exclusively male, it's a spectrum. Anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, all that aside, they then go on to say they project their hate for their absentee father or weak father onto God. It's a classic example of projection, and it's a pathology that they suffer from. My dad is great. I don't consider him to be weak, and he's not absent. So
all this is it's somebody trying to minimize the experience that atheists have legitimately had in their lives. They're trying to go, okay, so it can't be that you've done research and came to your conclusion. It has to be that you're autistic. It can't be that you had reasoned discussion and came to your own thoughts on this. It has to be that your dad hates you. It can't be, in no way can it exist in this type of person's mind that an atheist is a well-reasoned person that came to a conclusion legitimately. There has to be some extracurricular reason that it happened. Otherwise, it, for some reason, throws their faith into question.
Well,
that would be my guess.
It's such a Christian trope. Like this is where like he says, "Oh, having studied the philosophy of atheism." Like, no, you didn't study philosophy if you're coming back saying that like it's their absentee father. Like, to me, that says that you studied the philosophy of atheism as it's presented by Christian cinema in God's Not Dead or whatever. Like,
also, if you're studying the philosophy of atheism,
I'm sorry, Cute Dark Arts, I'm out of water.
There is nothing in the, quote, philosophy of atheism that has anything to do with trauma, lack of a father, or autism. Because there's nothing in philosophy that has to do with autism.
Well, I mean, I could see how certain aspects of philosophy could be relevant to, like, philosophy can get its little claws into anything that it touches.
No, it like, certainly can.
I am speaking of this like kind of dismissively, but I do acknowledge that philosophy is an important area of inquiry. It can be useful to people that study it to like help them like reason out things and see where other people might be like experiencing flaws in their reasoning and whatnot. But people that get too into philosophy often get like stuck up their own ass about it. Like, that's
been my experience with dealing with some of the same people together collectively that get stuck up their own ass about philosophy. Don't worry, they're just asking questions because
someone redeemed the hat.
So you must have another hat.
I almost missed it. I could have just pretended that I didn't see it. Fuck, there's the inside. Yeah.
More hats for the hat god.
Not that it matters, it doesn't fit over my friggin' thingamajiggies.
His head boobies.
My head boobies?
Yeah, well, you said thingamajiggies, plural, so...
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think of something you would have that would be plural, and that just popped into my head.
Yeah, Cute Dark Eyes says, philosophy major. Nerd! Yeah, so there was a brief period of my high school life where I considered majoring in philosophy when I went to college. I'm glad that I decided against it, But yeah, I could easily have seen myself becoming one of the people that gets stuck up their own asses about it.
I was one of the people that got stuck up my own ass about it. In the earlier portions of my channel, I was really, really into philosophy and was researching it all the fucking time. And when I would do videos, I was the fallacy bingo type of YouTuber a lot, where it'd be like, what you said is fallacious because it falls in line with this thing, and this is an error of logic on your part. And I would do it all the time, and I'll still do it now because I still retain a lot of that knowledge from when I was fixated on it. But like, when that hyperfixation died, I could tell, because I immediately went, a lot of these people fucking suck. The minute that my brain wasn't philosopher-broing anymore, I could tell.
Well, I think for me, so when I was in high school, I was a Christian. And so I think the appeal of philosophy was like, it's a lot of complicated language that it takes a lot of effort to understand, but once you do understand it, then there's supposedly stuff like supporting God, like it explains the reason why God would allow evil, it explains how God would exist, and like, so it was like faith confirming, but in a way that seemed intellectual, and that really appealed to me as someone, like, I've always been into science, and I've always considered myself to be intelligent, and so seeing myself as an intellectual, I'd be like, oh, well, I should absolutely go into this philosophy stuff so I can intellectualize my faith. And I if I'd have done that, I feel like I might have turned into Cameron Bertuzzi. Except I imagine I would have been better at the philosophy stuff than him.
You wouldn't be doing overly produced YouTube shorts telling atheists that they're actually stupid, really?
I haven't seen his shorts.
Oh.
But yeah, no, as far as the logical fallacies go, like this is one of the things where like philosophy can help, because you can not only learn how to identify the logical fallacies and see when people are using them, but when you actually come to understand, like, one of the things that a lot of philosophers, either they don't understand it or they just ignore it, is that a logical fallacy does not necessarily mean that the argument that they're using is fallacious. It depends, like, we're talking about the informal logical fallacies versus the formal logical fallacies, because the informal ones are the ones that you hear about all the time, like, oh, that's an appeal to authority, that's an argument from popularity, that's a...
Yeah.
You know, those things. So, like, an appeal to authority, that is an informal fallacy, but that's because using an appeal to authority does not automatically make whatever argument you're making fallacious. So, for instance, I use arguments from authority all the damn time in my videos because I ain't no biologist, but I'm talking about evolution. Who am I going to appeal to? The people who know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to evolution. That is
also that there's a certain form that a fallacious argument takes in general, where you say this is when you say this is true because the biologist said it.
Pega J is pointing out literally the fallacy, where you say, oh, that was fallacious, therefore it's wrong.
Therefore it's wrong. Yeah, something is not wrong because it's fallacious. A fallacy just means that you, even if you get the correct answer, you use the wrong method to get to it. It's like when you're doing a math problem and you get the same answer as the rest of the class. That's
not even always the case, because like I said, with the argument from authority, in something that requires expertise, that is the correct method. If I'm not an expert, then going to an authority, an expert in the subject, is actually the appropriate course of action.
I've always understood the argument from authority to be that it's fallacious when you say something is right because the authority said it, when the authority saying it has no bearing on its trustworthiness.
Yeah, that's the most obvious form of it. But like, technically, anytime you appeal to an authority, that is an argument from authority.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just that sometimes it's a perfectly valid argument. But yeah, so like, yeah, while there is value in pointing out fallacies, it's also helpful to understand that fallacies are not always inherently problematic.
They're not the be all end all.
Yeah. And it's much more fascinating to, like, instead of just being like, that's a fallacy, let's move on. It's much more fascinating to actually, like, okay, well, let's assume that your argument is correct and see what the implications would be, see where that leads us.
Let's go down the road.
Yeah.
And let's see what happens when we go down the road.
Mark Fernkoff says, Rhino, you can just say Forrest Valkai. I don't know specifically what that's with reference to, but Forrest is awesome. So yeah.
When you're talking about a biologist, you're just referring to the smarter biologist.
Oh. Yeah, no, I don't usually reference Forrest stuff. There have actually been, this might just come from, like, he's a much better science communicator than I am, but there have been, like, he's responded to some of the same videos that I have, and when I've watched his responses from doing the research that I needed to do in order to respond, there have been things that he said that they're not like wrong, but it's just like, people could get the wrong impression from the way you're saying that, but it's always on stuff that's like, it doesn't even matter if they do.
Mm-hmm.
So he's just better at being concise than I am. So like, I'm always, and okay, this might speak to my partner thinking that I do have autism, is that I have to be technically correct. If I say something jokingly that is even partially correct, I have to, like, go back after the joke and be like, I was just joking about this. I am aware that this is, and this is why my videos are getting longer, is because, like, as I am learning more, I have to, like, okay, well, I have to say this correctly, but in order to say that correctly, I have to first explain this. And this is going to be somebody's first video, so even though I've explained it before, I still have to explain it again, at least partially, or at least reference the video where I explained it before. And so I go down these rabbit holes of detail chasing. And it's not necessarily the best way to make content, but it's working for me now.
Oh boy.
What?
That feels like a headache and a half to have to do that. And then I'm like, but I think I've done the same thing in my content where I've just, while I'm live, I have to go, hold on, no, this is this. This one actually has to be explained this way. So I'm sitting there going, that sounds like a headache. And then my brain goes, okay, but you've done that. It sounds like a headache, but you've done it.
Yeah. Okay. That was the last tweet.
Oh, of course. The last one was the red pill apologist. At least it's not Kevin Sorbo. There wasn't a case orbs today.
No, I looked at case orbs. He wasn't really tweeting anything terribly interesting. It was mostly just like links to articles this week.
Oh, okay. Well, that is both uplifting and depressing. It's like there's a comfort to having a case orbs tweet there, but then it's dealing with case orbs, so I don't actually feel comforted. I just feel inconvenienced by the words he says.
Yeah. Yeah. We have Jemanian says ADHD go burr on arguments. That's exactly it.
Yup.
Oh, and the hyperfocus. The hyperfocus. Well, first Jassa says disappointed.
Can't be a Kevin Sorbo moment without that.
Well, no, like the hyperfocus, like that's why this happened. Like, I couldn't
the thing.
I couldn't just be like, yeah, who cares? You both killed a lot of people and move on. I had to be like, no, this is wrong because, like, Protestantism doesn't exist in the 1300s. And I had to go down this rabbit hole of, like, all these countries that he's calling Protestant were, like, at best half Protestant for most of this period. And that, it actually pained me to stop at England, because I'm like, well, what if like people think that I stopped at England because I am of UK descent, and it's like, okay, we've gotten to the important one now, so I can stop. And like, I know that's like
nobody really will care.
I've already gone into more detail than was anywhere even near necessary. And like, yeah, I learned about the Habsburgs today. Like, I had heard about the Habsburgs before, but like, I read more in depth on them and how they were like fighting to keep Catholicism around in Hungary. And yeah,
it became the thing you were fixated on.
Yeah, but what I was getting to before I got distracted by that, 'cause, like, now the evil's name of Doomnes. I'm sorry for that. Says my ADHD usually goes the other way. I always go, oh, this reminds me of, and getting in a completely unrelated topic. Yeah, that's exactly.
Are you Family Guy?
Yeah, no, so it's the hyperfocus where like I am on this topic and I will stay on this topic until I have completed the whole thing. But then on the like side note of that is that like I can be easily distracted. So like if somebody distracts me from my hyperfocus, I have now completely lost wherever the fuck I was. And it takes like task switching is something that people with ADHD have a really hard time with. And so that's where like
that explains that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Venix Primal says the Habsburgs are a whole can of worms in itself. Yep. Trust me, it was hard to not talk about the Habsburgs in great detail with reference to that tweet. So I'm like, it's not even really relevant.
You know what that means, though, Rhino? From one content creator to another, that means you can use that tweet as a springboard for an entire video talking about the Habsburgs.
I probably could.
I'm sure people would be incredibly interested in that.
No, they would not.
I assure you they would, because I am just hearing about it with almost zero info. Maybe that's just because I like your content.
Maybe,
but...
I don't know. Oh, speaking of, did you see, like, has anyone responded to my 10 things about Christianity that don't make sense video that you're aware of?
Not in the circles that I talked to.
Because it got a really weird view bump today.
Huh.
And I feel like, and there have been a lot more, like Christians commenting that, like, oh, well, he clearly doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, the Christians, he doesn't know anything about the Christian God. I
think it's going to end up being like that Matt Walsh video that I did that people still comment on today, and it is always the people who are fans of Matt Walsh.
Yeah.
They've always got something to say about that video.
Oh, Fendick the Rabbit says you should make a Tangents channel for things that don't fit your normal content. What do you think this is?
This is the Tangents channel?
This is the Tangents channel. Like, tomorrow I will be streaming with my partner about, like, reading a Christian marriage book. Sometimes I game stream. Not very often. Last time I played that little game where you're an angel that goes to hell. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick that back up. It was a fun little game, but it's one of those, like, I feel like if I'm going to continue playing it, I have to do it on stream, but I don't feel like streaming, so I'm not going to do it.
Oh, I've had those.
And I have since started playing the game Islets. Have you played Islets?
I have not.
Oh, it's a fun little game. It's a little platformer game where you're this mouse guy, and it's got an adorable art style, and it's quite pretty, and yeah, it's fun.
Okay. Meanwhile, I have my Magic the Gathering channel, which I've been posting more to lately than anything else, because my brain's like, hey, you want to make content for this, so make a lot of content for this.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I recommend Islets. It was cheap too, if I recall. It was like $20. So it's not like some AAA $70 game.
Growlith, are you trying to tell me that it's time for you to go outside again? Okay, fine. I got you. I got you. Just give me a second. We'll be done in a second, Growlith.
Fennec saying info dump. See, I feel like if I did that video on the Habsburgs or whatever, it would be like a was it Veritasium that would do those things where it's like, you know, the title of the video is this, and then I'll like make random connections through the whole thing, and now we're talking about something completely unrelated, apparently, but you got there through the series of connections. I feel like that's what it would end up being, but I can't do it anywhere near as well as those guys.
Look, make the video and make the title just like you.
No, that is a lot. That is a lot of fucking work that I don't have time to put into it right now.
Just you standing in front of the board with all of the connected red string.
Will Rhino make a video equivalent of the Wikipedia challenge? What's the Wikipedia challenge?
Growlith, come on. She stepped on my cord and pulled it out.
Lovely.
Dapper says, I don't think your deck piece triggers like you explained. We're talking about Dahada's ploy. I know that Dahada's ploy exiles. That's why I pointed out that, like, to have it happen for a turn cycle, you do Dahada's ploy, then you exile it, then you do Faithful Mending, then you exile it.
So what is the Wikipedia challenge? Do you know what that is?
The Wikipedia challenge is when you have two incongruent ideas, and your goal is to start from one of the ideas and, using only the reference links in Wikipedia, get to the other idea.
Okay. I could see that being fun. I could also see that leading to NSFW content, because Wikipedia does have a lot of that on there.
Perfect. It's an edited video. You can censor it.
I feel like that would. Yeah, I feel like that would have to be live.
Perfect. I'm kidding. Just stream it on Pornhub.
No, then I'd need to give them my ID.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Because that was
Because of
that was one of the
laws.
things that they implemented after they got sued. Is that Rovelearn. Sorry.
Oh,
Your name is Rovelearn. Just resubscribed for 2 months.
Mhm.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I don't remember what I was saying. Anyway,
I'm gonna let Growlithe out.
I'm gonna end the stream. Oh wait, what was that? What was that? Someone suggested a pretty awesome sign off. Fuck, I don't remember what it was. It was basically like a fuck up, like a fuck off, like I normally end the stream, but it was like fancy. Yeah, okay. No, I just heard it yelled from the other room. It's may God help you, because I sure can't.
Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.